Well, now as the top campaign donor to U.S. President Donald Trump, Elon Musk has apparently somehow convinced the United States government, specifically the United States Department of State, that the taxpayers of the United States of America should spend $400 million buying, quote, armored Tesla production units.
MSNBC's Rachel Maddow covered that alarming story on her show last night, but she's leaving out some pretty crucial details about that massive Tesla contract. And we'll tell you what the details are after you watch the rest of what she had to say.
Since I think the only supposedly armored production vehicles Tesla makes are these hilarious trucks, this really appears to be the State Department announcing, putting in writing that it's going to spend $400 million buying these paperweights from Elon Musk. This is a line item in the latest procurement forecast for the U.S. Department of State.
So this is where the story actually takes some twists and turns. And I would venture to say that the producers over at the Rachel Maddow show on MSNBC were fully aware of the dates involved on this procurement documentation. So bear with us as we go through the details. Ryan Grimm of Dropsite News first reported on this contract yesterday, but what Grimm reported is a little bit different from what Rachel Maddow reported. So let me give you the relevant portion of Ryan Grimm's reporting here, where he says that the State Department's procurement forecast, revised as of late December 2024, lists Tesla as the recipient of the largest expected contract, with Marco Rubio's department planning to buy $400 million worth of armored Tesla. The procurement forecast is listed as having been modified on December 13th, 2024, a month after Donald Trump's election. It was a month after Donald Trump's election, but it was obviously before he had been inaugurated, before he was officially in office. In other words, the State Department would have issued that contract under Biden's administration. So I'm sure Rachel Maddow is going to correct that on a subsequent broadcast. I can't wait to see it. But after Grimm's initial report, the Trump administration did something interesting. So Grimm reported this morning, let's take a look at this. After Dropsite News revealed Tesla was forecast to be given $400 million contract for armored Tesla, the State Department altered its spreadsheet to obscure Tesla's role. Metadata shows the spreadsheet was revised several hours after our story published. And the twists and turns don't stop there. So after that post, the State Department reached out to Dropsite News directly, which sounds kind of scary, but it's not, because they wanted to say that the Tesla contract is actually now on hold. Dropsite News then updated their reporting accordingly, and they also reported that the new information about how the contract came to be, they say that the acquisition plan was set in motion by the Biden administration last year as part of a move to convert the Bureau of Diplomatic Security's fleet of roughly 3,000 armored vehicles into zero-emission electric vehicles by 2023. And in April of last year, the Bureau of Diplomatic Security issued a request for information to see which electric vehicle manufacturers would be interested in taking on that request. Now, according to the Trump State Department, only one company showed any interest in this contract, and that one company happened to be Tesla. The State Department stated that the next step in the process would involve an official solicitation being sent out to vehicle manufacturers to bid, adding that, however, the solicitation is on hold and there are no current plans to issue it. So, Cenk, what do you make of this story? All of it, because there's some suspicion that the Trump administration is going to give Tesla that contract anyway, but they don't want it to appear as though Elon Musk's conflict of interests are playing a role in the decisions that are being made in the Trump White House. I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, of course, as usual, I have fairly strong feelings about it. But first, God, I love our poll on this one. So this one's in the live chat, shows live 6 o'clock Eastern every day. Who's the biggest villain here? Elon Musk, Rachel Maddow, Donald Trump, Joe Biden? It's a really good question because Joe Biden's the one that made the deal for the Teslas. So, I mean, how can we blame Trump? That's the most irrational thing in the world. I mean, we just call him a racist for no reason. I don't know, but like Biden's administration is the one that did this contract. Anna, I'm not missing it, right? There's no dispute over that.
You are not missing it. Based on the documents, this deal was made under the Biden administration, and based on the updates to this story, which was reported by Ryan Grimm on Dropsite News, a source that we trust, the Trump administration has put this whole, this whole thing on hold entirely. The notion of buying the EV armored vehicles.
I mean, if he cancels the Musk order, the Tesla order, then you actually have to give Trump a lot of credit. Like Biden wanted to give 400 million to Tesla and Trump is saying no. I don't think he'll cancel it. I think there's an easy layup for him because he'll get to say, well, I didn't give it to him, Biden gave it to him. Because Biden did give it to him. So, look, I'd be surprised if they didn't go forward with this. And then, again, the source matters here. And Ryan Grimm is one of the most trusted reporters in the country, cares deeply about the facts, et cetera. So if it turns out that it's also true that there was no other bidders, I hate no bid contracts, but if there's no other bidders, what are you gonna do, right? So look, I'm curious what Rachel's gonna do about this because look, I've criticized her from time to time for just doing Democratic talking points. I remember back in the day when we worked out Air America together, she was a real, progressive and honest actor, et cetera. In my experience at MSNBC, she's criticized Democrats a total in a couple of decades, a grand total of I think 0 times, but maybe she did it 2 or 3 times just to be cute. Like, oh, what? Back in 1987, I once said something about Democrats. So, but this is a bridge to it. She's got to correct this. I'd be super surprised if she didn't correct it, and it would be really embarrassing if she didn't correct it. So that's my sense of, because this is not a little scrub. I mean, you do a whole segment and you're like, laughing like, oh, look at Trump and how corrupt he is, and it turns out it was Biden. You got to do a correction.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I'm gonna give myself credit because that story actually.
You go on with your bad self, Anna.
Hold on. So the story broke yesterday, and based on the headlines, it did appear as if the Trump administration had handed this giant contract over to Tesla. But I wanted to dig into it a little bit more before covering it, so I held off on it. I just simply mentioned it briefly during our bonus episode, and I'm so relieved that I did. So oftentimes when stories break, not oftentimes, but sometimes a story will break, it'll have a super provocative headline, but there's more to the story than what's being reported at the moment. So sometimes it's better to wait and see how that story develops to see what the actual facts are.
Yeah, no, I'll give you further credit. And now that we're in the credit business, you did a correction earlier this week that I was a little bit painful, right? And now I see jerks online going like, she did a correction. Yet that's what you're supposed to do in the news business.
Yeah,
like
I do corrections all the time.
If you didn't. So like you can't win with critics. Like, I can't believe you're not doing a correction. You did a correct. Which one is it, right? So guys, what's important is actually our obligation to you, the viewers, because our job is to deliver things that are true to you. If we're not being honest and we're not delivering the actual news to you, then what's the point of a news show? So I remember Rachel Maddow that also believed in that. So I'm actually gonna have a little bit of faith in her that she is gonna correct this.
Yeah, and also, mocking people who want to do the right thing and offer corrections to ensure that, any misinformation is corrected. What they're essentially doing is discouraging people from doing corrections, right?
Totally.
It's not gonna discourage me. I don't care about them at all, and my responsibility is to the audience. But at the end of the day, there are people who will feel discouraged from doing that, and that's a shame.
If you enjoyed this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Become a member today by hitting the join button below.